Well, hello everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started today. So today we're going to continue on our path to Google certification, and we're going to look at Google Calendar. So remember, this is how we get to the slide deck with this bit.ly right here. It's bit.ly/path to GC1. All that is lowercase. And let's talk about a few things before we get started and dive into this. So first, this will probably be one of the last, I think, 4 sessions. I think maybe there's 2 or 3 next week. And we've done all these sessions. And hopefully you have had time to go into these and view the recording if you weren't able to make the live session. And you were also able to do the assignment that we gave you. So this week, we're going to cover these skills inside Google Calendar. And this is the practice task over here if I forget to tell you, okay? So there is an attachment here, and I want you to find that attachment, and I'll talk to you about how you're going to use that in your Google Calendar event that you're going to make, okay? So I will be emitting people as we talk today. Another thing that I want to talk to you about is, remember at our NTI site, bit.ly/SCPS NTI, that site right there. If you want to find the recorded archives of these video sessions, then you'll go to Teacher Resources here. You'll scroll down to Google Level 1 Certification. And we'll let that load. And these are all the sessions that we have done. And if it has a blue link, then that's telling us that there's a recorded video attached to that blue link. So it looks like we're all up to date. Kelly did the last one on Keep. And then after I am finished with this session today, I will come back and I'll put a link here to the YouTube video. So it looks like, yeah, we just have 4 more sessions or 3 more sessions after this. So we're all in good shape. That's great. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So with Calendar, how do you get to it? There's a couple different ways. The easiest way that I can think of is either going to your Google Drive and clicking on the app launcher, or you can just type in, open up a new tab and type in calendar.google.com. It's that easy, okay? So this is what Calendar looks like. And the public view, when you're posting a calendar or sharing a calendar, looks different. And I'm going to show you what that looks like as we get into this. But let's just talk about the interface a little bit and what we see, okay? So right now, if I click on today, it's going to take me right here to where today is. So if I was like off over here looking at July or something, and I wanted to immediately go back to today's calendar, I would just click right here, and it takes me automatically back to that time. Really nice and easy. I can scroll through different monthly calendars here by going back and forth with the arrows, okay? And I can also go over here and I can do a search, and there's so many things you can do here. We're not going to touch on all of these today, but we're going to touch on quite a few of them, okay? So I can go over here to get a different view as well. I can click on month, and I can go to a day view, a week view, which is pretty handy to let me know what's going on during the week. Also a nice one that I like is the schedule view right here. And the schedule view will show you the events that are coming up and some of them that have actually passed by, because we're looking at May 4th here and we're on May 21st. So these are ones that are coming up, okay? You can also see my Cowboys schedule coming here. I don't know if those games are actually going to happen, but I'm going to show you how you can find those kind of events as well. But also I have something from my Google Classroom showing up here. So events so assignments from your Google Classroom can show up here as well. Then I have a meeting scheduled and so on. Okay. Now, typically I just go to default for me, which is the month view. Okay. But that was a nice schedule view. That was pretty cool. Okay. So let's go over here. Again, you have like a compressed calendar view here. You can scroll back and forth. You know how that works. Now, I'm going to come back to this in a second, but I want to show you these calendars down here. This is my primary calendar. That's Jerry Broyles. All of these calendars underneath here, for the most part, are Google calendars, Google Classroom calendars that I'm a teacher in. So all of these are Google Classrooms for me. This is one that Kelly Fisher created, and she added me as a teacher. Okay. And then some of these I have turned on, some of these I have turned off. So like, for example, this is one that I've been pretty active in. This is a classroom that I've been working in quite a bit. And I have it turned on right now, but what you have is an overlay view. So if I turn this off, notice it's in black here, okay? This one's showing in blue. Kelly's is showing in this reddish color, okay? But if I go to this one, and notice these are in black, if I click that on and off, those assignments go away because they disappear because they're no more part of what I want to see, okay? Now, when I turn those back on, I can see that these assignments also show back up, and these are ones that are actually, they have expired, okay? So those are in the past since we're on the 21st, okay? Now, these right here, notice that there's a pink associated with that, and that pink color, if I go back, oops, hold on just a second. If I scroll back up here, notice that Kelly's, that color, that reddish color is pink. If I turn her Google Classroom calendar off, those assignments go away as well, okay? So remember, the more of these you turn on, the more things you'll have showing up on your calendar because they're all overlaid one on top of the other. Now, I'm gonna go back down here a little bit. Now, these are other calendars. And I have a Dallas Cowboy calendar, and you saw some of those dates earlier of when they're going to play. So if I scroll forward to September, I'm going to start to see, or October, whatever it may be, I'm going to start to see some of those games are actually scheduled. Who knows what those will actually occur? We don't know. Maybe you do know. I haven't heard any news. So if you know, you can let me know in the chat about that. Okay, so now down here, I have, this is Ashley Faulkner's Google Classroom. I am a student in her classroom, so that shows up under my other calendars. So above here are teachers, where I'm a teacher in the classroom. Down here is where I'm a student in the classroom, okay? And we have a host of other different calendars as well that I'm a part of. There's holidays in the United States. I can turn that on and off. Notice that those pop up as green, and it's associated with this green color. Okay, it all makes sense, all right? So let's go back up, and I'm just kind of showing you that so you can kind of get a feel of what you're seeing here. I'm gonna turn that one off because it gets a little busy. All right, now, if I want to find an event or create an event and invite certain people, then I can do that by searching right here. And there's other ways to do this as well, and I'll show you that too, okay? So let's say that I want to find Paula Setzer-Kissick. She's a friend of mine, colleague of mine. And I want to see what's going on with her, and I want to, get a meeting going on with her. So what I'm going to do is just leave her right there, and I'm going to go right here to create. And right now, it included her because I had searched for her over there. And that's a nice way to include her as a guest or somebody that I want to meet with, okay? So I'm going to add a title here. And this is going to be called the Park Event Planning Meeting, okay? Now, you can create an event, which just puts an event on your calendar. You can do an out-of-office reply if you want. You can also set up appointment slots. And that's so that people could schedule times with you, maybe an hour at a time or a half hour at a time or so on. We're not going to get into those today, but we'll get into a few other things. I'll show you about this too. Now, here's the time that is set up, May 21st, this 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock and so on. And I can add guests. Now, I usually don't like to work out of this little, just this little pop-up, but here's some things you can do. You can change this. You can add more guests here if you want. So let's say I want to add Josh Rayburn, and maybe I'll even add Ashley Faulkner. Okay. So I just keep on adding the people that I want to go ahead and make sure they're a part of my planning committee meeting. Okay. So now I can also add a Google Meet video conferencing here. So if I click here, then now we have a Google Meet that is scheduled for us, and we have a Meet link address right there, okay? And there it is, okay? So they'll use that to get in, and then they have the phone numbers and PIN associated with that as well. So when they have this show up on their calendar, they will just click on the event, and then they'll click on the Meet, just like they do in Outlook. We have that going on all the time when we have something created, an event created in Outlook for us. Okay, now I'm going to go to more options here and just get a bigger view of this. Okay, so you can always opt out of that and get a bigger view to see what's going on. Now, I can change the time here if I wanted to. I can make this an all-day event. My friends are not going to be happy with me if I make it an all-day event because they don't want that. So I'm just going to turn that back to 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. But one thing that's nice here is that you can find out if they are busy according to their calendar by going right here to find a time. So I can click right there and notice, let's see, let's say I change this to May 29th instead. I'll just change that to May 29th. Okay, so I did that because I knew I had something on my calendar. So they don't have a whole lot of on their calendar, but I noticed that they have blocked out all these times up here, which makes sense because we probably don't want to be meeting at 6 o'clock in the morning, or we don't want to be meeting at 9 o'clock at night. So now these that are in white, those are available times that all 4 of us have that we can meet. Okay, so that's finding a time. It's a really nice way to find a common time that works for everyone. And so I can click right here, and maybe I'm going to have that meeting, and maybe later in the day I'll have this one. So I'll just move that up a little bit, and notice when I do that, I have a 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock block, and it's automatically updated right here. Okay, so I'm going to click Save there, and I'm not going to send those invitations yet. Okay, so now that event shows up right here. Okay, if I want to do more editing to that event, I just double click on it. And let's see, I'm going to go to edit right here. Okay, and now I can continue to edit that event. I have my meet scheduled for it, and add a location. I'm going to just put virtual here because this one be online. I could come up with, if we were going to actually talk about a park event, we could actually go to the park and I can type in Veterans Park and there it is right there. Not the school, but the actual park. So I could click that if I wanted to. All right. So I could keep it as virtual or do either one. Now, down here is notifications. So before the event, you'll get notifications. And by default, they send you a notification about 10 minutes before the event starts. Now, that notification comes in a little, it either happens on your phone if you have the app, or if you're inside on a desktop like I am right now, then over here in the Windows system tray, the stuff over here that you can see, there's going to be a pop-up that lets me know that the event is going to start about 10 minutes from then. Okay, so 2 different ways there. Now, if I wanted more notifications, because I'm like, man, 10 minutes is not a lot, I may forget, maybe I'm out doing an errand or something, I may want to know something else, some other kind of time to help me remember this meeting. So I can add more notifications here. And instead of a notification, maybe I want an email. And maybe I want that email to be, let's see, maybe I want it to be like 1 day before it begins so I can get really prepared for it. So I can choose 1 day. And so now I have an email that will let me know there's an event 1 day before it begins, and also a notification that's 10 minutes. And I can increase that if I want to maybe 20 minutes before it starts. Okay. Now, this event right now is going to be on the Jerry Broyles calendar because that's what's chosen as default. Remember, I had all those calendars, and it's a ridiculous amount, I know, but we're just going to keep it on the Jerry Broyles one. If I wanted to change it to a different calendar, I could do that right here. Okay. Now, and then the default color for this event, you can change that as well if you want. So I can change it to a different color. All right, down here, this is how the event will show on calendars that other people have shared that are my calendar. So if I've shared my calendar out with maybe somebody who has viewing rights only of it, just to see, how my day is looking, how busy it is. Well, I can either choose for this event to come up on their calendar that they see, it looks like they're seeing my calendar in a shared setting. Then it can either be free where it doesn't show at all, I'm still free for that time, or it can show that it's busy on their end. Okay. Now, if I gave them rights to see all events, then they would see exactly the title of the event and who's invited and so forth. If I just gave them, viewing rights to see whether I'm free or busy, then they would only see that I'm busy. Okay. And then this is the visibility for other other calendars. If I made it a public event, then people who see my calendar publicly, then they would see it's an event. If I kept it private, it would just say that it's a private event. Okay. Now down here, excuse me, I can add some information. I can add some text here, something like be sure to bring your laptops to the meeting. And I can also add attachments here. So I'm going to add an attachment. And the attachment that I'm adding here is actually a flyer that I created for this meeting. And let's see, it should be my recents here. So let me scroll down a little bit. Yeah, and here it is, it's parent orientation. So that's the flyer I created. Okay, so now there's an attachment to it. So when they get the notification, they will be able to access that attachment as well. Now, over here, you can do RSVPs if you want, yes or no, whatever it may be. They can choose those actions if they're planning to come or not. Down here, you can give your guests permissions to where they can modify this event if you want them to. I probably suggest you wouldn't do that typically. You can have them invite others if you want them to have those permissions. And you can also let them see the guest list if you want. So any of the guests that I've invited, I can modify these permissions so that they can modify the event, they can invite others, or they can see the guest list. So I'm going to leave these two checked, okay? And then I'm going to press save right here. All right, and when I like to send update emails to existing Google Calendar guests, I'm just going to say yes, go ahead and send it, and that's fine. Okay, so there's my event. And remember the process that we went through, we were able to decide exactly when that time would be. We checked for suggested times that would work for them and so on, okay? So let's look at some other things here. I wanna show you this, and this is something that you may not have seen very much. Over here, there's two calendars that you can turn on and off, and these are reminders and tasks. So if I click on reminders and I click on task, okay, notice reminders came up here. I'm going to show you how to make a reminder. There's two sets that I have here, and also task. Okay, so now I have some tasks that are showing up. So now when I go to create, okay, before I just had three choices. I had event, out of office, and appointment slots. Now that I have these two turned on, I can now make a reminder for myself, and I can also do task. Okay, so let's say that I want to create a reminder for myself. So I'm going to click on reminder. I'm going to choose the day and time I want that reminder to be. And maybe it's something that's going on the 30th. I need to go ahead and reserve maybe the park so we can get a run through of what's going on. Maybe a shelter inside the park so we can have a dinner or something. So I'll go right here to that date, which is May 30th. And I'm going to add the title of my reminder, and it's going to be call shelter to reserve, reserve dinner time. Okay, and now I can make this repeat, or I can have it all day, some other choices. I just want this to be at 3 o'clock. That's a little bit late, so I'm going to change that to something a little bit closer in the morning. So let's change that to 10 o'clock, and then I hit save. Okay, so now I have a reminder there, and that's how you can make reminders inside your Google Classroom or inside your Google Calendar. Sorry about that. Now, one more thing that I want to show you about this while I'm on the topic of reminders and tasks is that whenever you have a Google product open, you have this little section over here. You may have seen it when Kelly did the keep. Now you can turn that off. You can hide that panel by clicking the arrow right here in the bottom. So I can turn that off and on, and I can hide it. Now, if I go right here, that's going to be Google Keep, which you probably learned about with Kelly. This is Google Tasks. So I'm going to click on it. And these are things that you can add easily to any of your Google Apps. So for example, let's say I go to Google Slides real quick. I'm just going to show you this, how this works. So say I go to slides.google.com. Let's see. And I'm just going to open up a slide to show you what that looks like. So I can go to this one right here, click on it and open it. Okay, and notice that panel is inside any of my Google Slides. It's always there, it keeps up. And also you have your calendar. Now calendar doesn't show when I'm inside Google Calendar. That kind of makes sense, I guess, because you're already there. But you can click on any of these at any time that you want, okay? All right, so I'll let that load, then I'm gonna close it. Ooh, it is running slow today. I apologize for that. Well, I'm not going to keep you. Oh, there it is. Good. It loaded up. All right. So let's go back to my calendar and talk about that. So the same ones are showing. That was pretty cool. None of these changed. Now I have created different lists, and you can do that inside here. So I have my task. I have Jerry Broyles' list, a home honeydew list. I have an IFL preparation. I even have a Christmas cleanup list that I haven't done yet, and it's ridiculous because it's May. I have a cooked supper list, and so on. So it's really easy to do. You just go right here to create a new list. So we'll go through one of these together. Create a new list. And here's my new list. Let's see. This is going to be end of year clean out. Okay, so I'm going to click on done. And now I can add my task here. So I add my first task. That is going to be grade all remaining assignments. Okay, then my next task is going to be revisit room and prep for summer. Okay, and then I'll do another one. So then it'll be send end of year emails. Okay, now when you're in here, let's say that this task right here, grade all remaining assignments, maybe it has different subtasks in it. So I can go to the edit right here to edit the details. And I can add some more details here. I can also give this a time and date that I need to get this finished. So probably for me, I need to get it done by the 26th. So I'll just click that, and I'll change the date to the 26th, and I'll set a time here that needs to be done by 3:00 p.m. And then I press OK. Now I can also add subtasks to this. So remember, it's grade all remaining assignments. So I can add projects, homework, daily assessments. Okay, so now I'm going to go back here and go back. And now I can see that of my end of the year cleanup, which is my major task here, my list, I have all these different tasks to do. And as I complete them, I can just click right here and notice that it's down here, it says 1 completed, and I can click undo if I want to, and they disappear. Now, they don't totally disappear because as soon as this message goes away, I can click down there and I can see what has been completed already by clicking on this arrow right here. So now I can see that homework was completed, I had marked that off, and projects was complete, I marked that off. Okay, so that is task in a nutshell, really easy to do. Remember that follows you throughout your Google apps for each one, like your Google Docs, your Google Sheets, your Google Slides. Okay, so I'm gonna close that out. All right, so let's get into a few other things that we need to talk about today. So let's talk about sharing a calendar, okay? So I'm gonna go up to here, and this is the Google Classroom that I've been working on. It's called Test Class for Mr. Broyles. And one thing that I wanna do is I wanna share this out publicly with my parents, and I can put this inside a Google site, I can embed it, and I'm going to share it out so they can see the assignments as well. So what would happen is, let's turn some of this off here and just kind of clean up the overlays. What they would see is all the assignments that I've made, and notice when I hover over it, oh, come on now. It's not hovering for some reason. Okay, it finally came up. Oh, that was acting really slow. I apologize for that. So I'm gonna close that out and see if we can do that again. Well, okay, I'll just leave what I have because it looks like it's running kind of slow. When they hover over it, they can actually see the details. They can see when it's due. They can see more details and description of the directions that I've given them. And they can see, dates when when it has been done. I'm sorry, when it's due, and they can also see what class it's from. So, and that's really easy for them to do. Now let's see if I can hover over this. I don't know if it's going to come up or not. It just seems to be acting really slow. Okay, enough about that. All right, so this is how you can share it out though. So right here, there's 3 dots right at the end of my Google Classroom calendar here. So I'm gonna click on that, and I can go, by the way, I can change the colors here if I want to. I'm gonna go to Settings and Sharing. Okay. And this is the time zone that it works out of. That's perfectly okay. I can export this calendar to some other like iCal or Outlook or something like that if I want to do that. I'm not really interested in that. What I am interested in is this. Right here, this is how you're going to make your calendar public so that other people can see it. You can click right here, and that's going to make it available for anybody that has a Fayette County Public Schools login, so staff or students. And you can share this link out so they can go and see it, okay? Now, if I want to make this public, I can just turn this off, and I can click on Make Available to Public. It gives me a little warning there, which I like that. I appreciate it. I press OK. And then it automatically defaults and grays out that it's made available for Fayette County as well. Well, because it's public. Okay. Now, what I can do there is, if I were inviting people to edit this, so let's say that I wanted to, maybe I want to have like Ashley Faulkner be able to add events to my calendar. All right, there we go, Ashley Faulkner. And here I give her permissions for the sharing. And I can make it very very simple where it's she'd see free or busy. Okay, it would hide the details. It wouldn't tell her anything about the meeting. It would just say that I'm busy during that time. Excuse me, my voice is really rough. Or I could let her see all the details of the meeting, or I can allow her to make changes, or I could allow her to make changes and manage sharing. So if she was maybe we were co-teachers, then that would make a lot of sense, where she would have this kind of level. More than often, you'd probably just give them see all event details. So I can click on that one, and then I can click on Send. Okay. Now, if she didn't get an email, or maybe she lost that email, I can go right back up here. And since she is one of the people who has permissions to this, okay, then I can get a shareable link, and I can copy that, and I can send it to her in an email so she can click on it and get inside the calendar as well. Okay, so a couple of different ways so she can see the calendar. Now, let's go back to talking about making it available for parents. We have to have this clicked so it's made available for the public. Now, what you would do down here is you would use the public URL for this calendar. So I'm going to show you how that looks. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to copy it. And then if I go incognito here, just open up a new incognito window. If I click on here, remember this has no memory of anybody being logged in. When you go incognito, if I click on that, and now it opens, and remember it's that older view of Google Calendar, but this is what the parents could see, okay? So if they click on that, they would see this, and so on, right? Notice that when these were posted, it has the date, it has the question, and more information for the parents to see. Now, this just doesn't have to be parents. It could be anybody else that you want to share information out publicly with from your Google Calendar. Now, Also, this can be embedded inside a Google site, and it makes it look a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit better. Okay, so that's how you can share out a calendar publicly with your parents. Remember, you have to do this. Make it public, and then use this link right here. Okay, so and that was under Calendar ID. It's public URL. That's something to remember. Now, notifications over here, you can change how you get notifications for this calendar as well. Okay, you can get through email. If something is added to it, if events are changed or something, you can get emails. You can change all that. All right. Okay, so let's go back to settings. By the way, you can go back here and change settings for any of your other calendars. We're just in the settings interface right here. All right, let's go down, and I know this is a lot of information. But remember, the big part of this for you to do well and get ready for your Google Level 1 certification is to go to that Create button, okay? And you're just creating events, okay? One thing that you need to also know is that if, let's see, where did we have that? Yeah, so I'm gonna add another event here. So let's say this is end of year planning. Everything's always about planning. You ever notice that? All right, so let's go to the 27th. And let's add some people here. I want to show you one more thing that you may need to know. And let's add Paula. Okay. And let's add Kelly because we haven't added Kelly lately. You have that find a time, which we've used before. You can also go down here to suggested times. And this is really Google looking into their calendars and finding some suggested times that work. You can click right there and you can find any of these times which should be working for them. And they're usually in half-hour chunks. Okay, so that's just another way to find a time that works for everybody involved here, the organizer plus the guests. All right, so we had find a time before, which gave us, you know, that look of the calendar and how everybody's looked. Ours, these look pretty clear. There's not much going on except for me on these 2 days. But if you want to use the suggested time feature, then that works as well. Okay. All right, so let's go down here to other calendars. And I'm going to add a calendar here. And you can also create new calendars here, by the way. So if I wanted to add one just to put maybe it's my robotics, you know, I'm a robotics coach and I want to put all those dates on a robotics calendar, I can go to create new calendar right here and I can name that calendar. This is my robotics after school group and the dates that we will meet and so forth. And I can create a new calendar. It's that easy. Okay. And then I can put all the events on there. And I can have it overlay with the rest and so forth. Let me click out of this and show you what that looks like now. Yeah, so there it is, robotics after school. It popped up right here and I can click on it and I can add events. Remember, you can also do this. You can click right on top of a date and you can add a title. And remember, if I want that to be on my robotics calendar, after I've done it, let's say this is a robotics first meet. And I can change the date and all that good stuff. But if I want to put it on the robotics calendar, I'm going to click right here. And let's scroll down to where robotics is. And that's how you put it on that calendar, okay? And it's, you know, it goes along with the default event color of the calendar. The calendar's green, so the default color is green. Okay. You know, I just want to save that. I'll save that. So there it is right there. Okay, now here's some interest calendars, which I like. Again, all I'm doing is I'm going right here to the plus sign. Close out that. To add the calendars, just click right there. And then I can go right here to browse calendars of interest. And this is how I came up with the Dallas Cowboys one. I'm going to show you a couple that you may be interested in as well. There's religious holidays as well. You can use those. We can go to baseball. We can see what the Cincinnati Reds are doing. If they're doing anything, let's scroll down a little bit and we can add their calendar. Just click right there. Okay. I'm going to minimize that a little bit. Okay, minimize that. There's another one that I think is pretty cool. It's Phases of the Moon. So you can click on that one and you can add that calendar as well. Okay, so all those schedules are inside here for sports that you can add. Y'all can go hog wild on that. I really like the one with the Phases of the Moon because I know that my students act very different when the different phases of the moon are going on. So right here at full moon, that might be a good day to take off. You just never know. But you can see the full first quarter, new moon, and so forth. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna click off some of those. Now, I think that I've talked about everything that I plan on talking about with you today. This was kind of a shorter session. So let me run through my stuff, just my agenda here, make sure we're all good. Yeah, I think we're all good on this. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to our slide deck here. And this is your practice task. It's really simple to do. I do hope that you're going through this because this will give you good practice for the actual certification test, okay? So go through here, and that should probably take you maybe 10 minutes at most to do and get your hands on inside the Google Calendar. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and finish up recording here and stop the recording, and then we'll go over to our chat room and see if there's any questions. So thanks for joining me today. Appreciate you coming.